I've not consumed processed sugar for over 5 weeks now, and here are the benefits that I've experienced. Now, before I do delve into the benefits and go into my experiences, this is a so-called experiment that I've done in the past. And the reason why, despite feeling tremendous 6 months ago when I did do that video on the benefits that I received for not having basically processed sugar for a set amount of time, I believe it was 21 days, so approximately 3 weeks. So this time round I done it for double the time. I stopped doing it, so I incorporated processed sugar back into my diet at the time, just to see, okay, was this a placebo effect? Are the benefits legitimate? How am I feeling now? And I'll be honest with you, there is a stark contrast, and hence why I'm back on it. And I don't plan to incorporate processed sugar unless I'm in exceptional circumstances. Now, here's the other thing I want to mention when I mean processed sugar. So, sugar inherently isn't bad for you. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a biologist. I've studied biology, but I'm not a biologist, I'm not a nutritionist. So, of course, they will know better, despite a lot of them having conflicting information. Sugar isn't inherently bad for you if it's natural and it comes from natural sources. I'm talking about fruit, I'm talking about those sort of things, honey, etc. They come from natural sources. I'm speaking about, again, sweeteners, aspartame that's found in things like Diet Coke and chewing gum, things that are quite unnatural. So processed sugars, things that are found in chocolate, candy, sweets, crisps, a lot of the ready-made meals. And to be fair, I still consume them within this experiment, but a lot of the time that's kind of out of your control. So what I have been consuming mainly is non-processed foods. Now, most of what you eat is processed. So, for example, if I go to the local supermarket and buy some apple and it's been cut up and I buy that cut up apple, that will be classified as processed food because that apple was cut in the factory. Ultra processed is they cut it all up, they make a dish, but then they add things like sugar and salt and chemicals and added preservatives, etc. That's ultra processed, right? That's an example. So again, what I've done is I've completely eradicated processed sugar to the best of my ability. So I've not touched chocolate, not touched crisps, sweets, tarts, pastries, anything like that. I've only been consuming water. I may have the odd coffee here and there, but I don't even consume dairy. I've completely cut out processed sugar. And the biggest benefit that I've gotten from this, and I noticed this almost imminently from doing it after the first 2-3 days, is I'm up like this in the morning. I had a huge issue when I was consuming processed sugar. I had a huge issue where I would have to get up at 5 or 6 in the morning, but I'd always hit the snooze button. I would always get up at 7:30 or 8 o'clock if I didn't have work. And not only that, when I got up, I felt groggy. I had brain fog. I couldn't think clearly. I couldn't think on my feet. I wasn't sharp. And I felt extremely tired. And it's like a paradox. It's very paradoxical because the whole point of us consuming sugar is it's supposed to give you that initial burst of energy. So me feeling more tired by consuming more sugar, it's very paradoxical, but that's the reality. It's a fallacy. It's this misconception that sugar gives you energy. There is truth in that, obviously, but the problem is we're not actually consuming sugar. We're consuming this factory-produced, man-made, fabricated nonsense, and it's not the same. But even natural sugars isn't that good for you as well and must be consumed in moderation. But what I noticed was I was springing up quickly. I had the energy. I was able to get up at 5 in the morning. I was able to get up at 6 in the morning. I was able to be productive. And what that translated into was limited amounts of brain fog. I could think clearer. I was studying. I was on my grind. I was focused. Even in the gym, that muscle to mind connection, I was able to focus on the task at hand. What I noticed with consuming a lot of sugar was it made my brain dull. It made my brain numb. It's almost like that extra dopamine that it got from that satisfaction of eating that chocolate bar, it almost wasn't worth it. That 3-4 second of pleasure, it just wasn't worth it. I know there's a lot of parallels here with porn and masturbation right there, right? But again, I was able to get up early in the morning. I had no issues with energy levels. And what I found in the past, when I was consuming sugar in excess, I used to have a faint problem. I used to pass out a lot. When I say pass out a lot, maybe 4 or 5 times over the space of 4 or 5 years, but it's still not normal. The human body shouldn't be passing out, or the human brain, so to speak. But a lot of that was because of excess amounts of sugar. And again, I don't want to speak about things like reduced risk of heart disease, reduced risk of diabetes, because that's obvious. I'm not going to point that out. But I thought it was a genuine fascination for me to realise that by eradicating processed sugar, I had this newfound burst of energy. Everything was much better. And what did I replace it with? What I always speak about on this channel is, in order for you to get over something, you can't just eradicate a habit, or you can't eradicate something negative and just have that void. You have to fill that void with something, negative or positive, it doesn't matter. You have to replace that void. So what did I replace it with? Instead of eating chocolate, sweets, crisps, whatever, especially with me, I'm bulking. You know, I go to the gym every single day, I'm building muscle. So I need to replace it with something sufficient because I'm in a calorie surplus. So what did I do? Complex carbs. Complex carbs. Now, I know some of you guys do a ketogenic diet, which is absolutely fine. I've done that as well. But what I found is, especially for me, I want to get my calories from healthy sources. I'm in a calorie surplus, so I do have carbs, but I limit the simple carbs. What are simple carbs? Things like white bread, white rice, white pasta, etc., or just pasta in general. Complex carbs, porridge, oats. I have that every single morning. Replace that processed sugar, that quick source of sugar that's unnatural. Replace it with complex carbs. Things like oats, porridge. That's what I do every single morning, and that's what I find extremely beneficial. What do I do what do I do in addition to that? It's things like fruits. So again, apples, bananas, nuts as well. So I try and get my sources from a variety of places. So things like fats that I get from nuts, avocados, meat, but as well as that, as I said, complex carbs. So I've incorporated that into my diet to replace the processed sugars. So I don't have that craving. I don't have that hunger for that extra bit of sugar. I don't have a craving for dessert. And surprisingly, I know a lot of you guys are going to ask this, you know, Ken, especially for me, I have a sweet tooth. So a lot of people will ask me, Ken, do you not find that you're addicted? Do you not find that you have that craving? Don't get me wrong, here and there, I do say to myself, oh, I do fancy an ice cream. I do fancy a nice, beautiful hot chocolate, especially with the weather getting cold. It is autumn here in the UK. From time to time, sure. But honestly speaking, not really, because I've replaced it adequately. I've replaced it efficiently. I'm still getting my calorie sources from healthy areas, from healthy avenues, complex carbs. But the energy levels, the benefits outweigh the cons. What are the pros of eating processed sugar? It tastes good in the moment, but that's about it. You feel like crap afterwards. You have excess amounts of brain fog. You can't think clearly. Your energy levels are down. I'm not going to mention the health benefits on top of that as well. But honestly, I will go as far. I wasn't going to say this initially, but thinking about it even more, the more I think of it, I am certainly going to say this. It is life-changing. It is life-changing, but you have to give it a sustained period of time. Don't come to me after doing it for 2 weeks and going, oh, the benefits are negligible, it's minimal. No, you have to give it a sustained period of time. I've done this experiment previously. I'm on week 5 and I don't plan to change. I don't have the cravings. My life is infinitely better now that I've cut out processed sugar, and honestly, it actually has changed my life. So smash the like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and I'll see all of you guys for my next video. Peace.